Today we're going to learn about the 6 trig functions coming from a right triangle perspective. First, let's define the sides of the right triangle. For example, let's say this angle is theta. The side opposite from theta would be considered the opposite side, and the side right next to theta is the adjacent side. And the longest side of the right triangle would be considered the hypotenuse. The 3 main trig functions of trigonometry are sine, cosine, and tangent. A tip to remember the definitions of these 3 trig functions is So the S stands for sine, and O and H stands for opposite over hypotenuse, meaning sine of theta would equal opposite side over the hypotenuse. The C stands for cosine, meaning cosine of theta would equal the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. The T stands for tangent, so tangent of theta would equal the opposite side over the adjacent side.
Using what we just learned, we're going to evaluate the 3 main trig functions with this triangle. So right here in our example, this leg will be 6 and this leg will be 8. Now since the hypotenuse is not given, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem that you learned in your early math days. So right here, it will be 6 squared plus 8 squared equals hypotenuse squared. So 6 squared is 36 and 8 squared equals 64. Add them together and it will be 100. So you square root both sides. So H will be 10. So our hypotenuse right here is 10. Now that we got all the sides, we can evaluate what sine, cosine, and tangent is. And using SOHCAHTOA, we know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So 8 over 10, and when you simplify it, it will be 4 over 5. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that would be 6 over 10. So our final answer would be 3 over 5. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So 8 over 6 equals 4 over 3. And now we evaluated all the functions.
Now we're going to learn the other 3 trig functions, which is cotangent, cosecant, and secant. All that is given to us is tangent of theta equals to 5 over 6. Now using SOHCAHTOA, we know that the 5 is opposite of theta, which is over here, and the 6 is adjacent to theta, which is right here. Now we'll plug into the Pythagorean theorem to figure out the hypotenuse. 5 squared plus 6 squared equals to 8 squared. 25 plus 36. And that's 61. Then you would square root both sides. And the hypotenuse is square root of 61. Now sine of theta would be opposite over hypotenuse, so that's 5 over rad 61. And cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, 6 over rad 61. Now cotangent and tangent are just reciprocals of each other, so it'll be 6 over 5. And cosecant and sine, rad 61 over 5. And secant and cosine, rad 61 over 6.
Please don't try to wake me up. Don't you wanna go with me?
Today we're going to focus on the 6 trig functions coming from cosine and tangent. It didn't work!
So using what we just
Whereas the C means sine, which means sine of theta would equal the adjacent side.
You messed up.
What?